The answer to the question, which studio position monitors the location and safety of electrical wires? That is C, the cable puller.
Welcome to Indie Insights. I'm your host, Dirk Norris, director of the New Mexico Film Foundation. And Alex and Lauren are replacing projection rods or something, so we're going to take a break and speak with my guest, actor, writer, Ron Weisberg. Ron, thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
So acting is your forte, I guess, you could say.
Could say that.
Okay. And you're currently working on a film, Money is King.
Money is King, that's right. I'm actually the screenplay writer of it, and I have one of the parts in it.
So do you have a preference to acting or screenwriting?
Honestly, I mean, you know, acting is amazing. It's in the moment. You're having fun. It's like riding a wave, and writing is creating that wave. So for me, it's like part of the same thing. So I don't really know which one I like better. I love them both.
Are you writing your own part?
Unfortunately, I'm writing my own part.
Okay. Well, I would think that would be kind of cool.
You never want an actor writing their own parts. Okay. I don't know what they were thinking, but that is what's happening, yes.
Right. And you've been not only in some of the independent films that are going on here in New Mexico, but some of the other films that have been brought here and some of the television shows that have been brought here. So what has that been? You've been on Manhattan?
Yeah.
And Breaking Bad?
No, I wish.
Okay. So what's Manhattan been like for you?
Manhattan was awesome. The sets are just out of this world. Old school 40s, beautiful, like all the costuming, everyone is so professional, and the story is thrilling. I don't know if you've been watching it, but...
Well, I have to admit, I don't have television, so I have to wait until it comes out on Netflix, and then I do binge watching.
Right.
So I'll have to wait a little while. But I did hear, and I was a little surprised, but it makes sense that there were a lot of flashbacks that put people, the characters, into World War I. So there's kind of a premise for why this project is so important in ending World War II.
Yeah, well, it speaks to all wars, I think, you know.
Yeah, right. So are there any actors that have had a particular influence on your acting, on what you do?
Yeah, you know, I'm not one of these actors that is a film buff per se, but I've definitely been, you know, there's definitely been people like Gene Wilder, you know, from Blazing Saddles.
Right.
For some reason, that's like my favorite movie.
Right, okay.
Mel Brooks is like my god, I don't know.
Right.
But Gene Wilder, his eyes always dance.
Yeah.
And I've always been like drawn to that kind of acting.
Is there a particular character that you kind of are drawn to, or you like flexibility of acting and try to do everything?
I think I'm drawn to crazy people. Smart people.
Is crazy a stretch for you, or is that very comfortable for you?
Well, I come from a family of crazy people, so I've observed well. Right, okay. And I can recall quite easily.
Right, okay. And I'm assuming, one of the things about acting in New Mexico, and something I hear is that it's hard to get good parts. Hollywood comes here and already has their A-listers, and so getting hired on some of that stuff is kind of tough. And I expect that you're always looking for a way to improve your craft and work at it. You do some teaching as well?
Yeah.
So talk about that a little bit.
Well, I teach a class every Saturday with Chris Rainey here at UPublic Studios, actually.
Okay. And
we teach improvisation, and we teach script analysis based on beats and action and subtext. Just the basics of all acting, but you know, it's amazing how much teaching actually, you know, teaches myself. Right. And I learned so much just by, you know, obsessing over everything for the students, and it comes right back to me. So. I'm constantly involved in the craft. It's awesome.
And the people you're getting, are they really serious actors, or is it people that are looking to maybe do some background work and, you know, fit that in when they're, you know, not at work?
No, these are people that are serious about getting speaking roles, that maybe they have been doing background and they're now wanting to take the next step in their craft and their career. And we teach we teach 100% speaking roles, you know, being the lead role, how to listen. You know, it's really all about listening.
Right. There's a documentary out called Casting By that looks at the casting directors and what they go through. And one of the points they bring up is the old studio system. They didn't have actors, they were more movie stars. So they were looking more at sellability of a face rather than, but you're not, that's not what you're advocating. No,
what we teach is I don't care what you look like. I care if you're honest. I care if you're telling the story that's written on the page, if you're going through the psychology of the character. Honestly, for me, acting isn't a pretty thing. I've been in parts where, you know, I'm playing like a psycho killer. I have to kill these little kids. And for Hunter's Game, it's now unforeseen. It was a pilot we did here in New Mexico. And, you know, it's not a pretty thing to go to those places, but you have to tell the story. You have to take that part. Right.
Ron, I really appreciate you being here today. Is there a website you want to tell people about? Do you have a website or how people can learn about the actings that you offer?
Yeah, well, there's moneyisking.com for Money is King.
Okay.
And on Facebook, we have a little the teaching page. It's called The Open Actor.
Okay.
So you can just look up The Open Actor on Facebook.
Terrific. Yeah. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Dirk.
You've been watching Indie Insights with my guest, Ron Weisberg. Lauren and Alex are back, and we're going to get back to the movie. Thanks for watching.
Glenn has decided to tell Barbara of his dual personality. To tell her of the nighties and negligees, the sweaters and skirts, the robes and dresses, the stockings and the high-heeled shoes, the wig and the makeup. All that goes to make Glenn into Glenda. He tells Barbara he cannot cheat her of the knowledge that she, as his fiancée, should possess. All the facts. He tells her softly, hurriedly at first, then slowly as he becomes more technical. His hands move to caress the smooth material of her Angora sweater, which he has so long and so desperately wanted to put on his own body. He tells of this to her, and she looks to the sweater and to his hand. Then, when it is all over and that much of the story he knows is told, Barbara is not sure of her own thoughts.
That's about it, darling. I wanted to tell you for a long, long time, but just couldn't bring myself to do it. I've been too much afraid of losing you.
Understand this, but maybe together we can work it out.
Is that the end of the story? Not quite. I'll get back to it in a minute. Glenn's case is really the lesser advanced type cases. The second case is an extremely advanced one. However, I'll get to that in a moment. First, you must realize that the world over has his own particular problem. Each case must be handled individually according to the person, his past life, and his problem.
Did this Glenn have any homosexual tendencies?
Absolutely not. It's very seldom that a true transvestite does.
And he isn't a hermaphrodite?
No more than he's a pseudo-hermaphrodite. Glenn's case was entirely of his mind, brought on by the environment of his early youth.
What about their children, Doctor? Would their children become the same way their father is?
No. Transvestism is not hereditary.
Well, what makes these men want to wear girls' clothes?
Many things. But as I've said before, it usually starts in early childhood from one cause or another. Technically, each case has the same beginning, just a different set of circumstances.
Are any of them actually cured?
Oh, yes, many of them. Once the source of supply is found, it can be stopped, unless the patient refuses to cut off that source of supply.
Then the way I get it, this Glenn and the character he created, much as an author creates a character in a book, was invented as a love object to take the place of the love he never received in his early youth through lack of it from his parents. The character was created and dressed and lives the life the author designs for him to live and dies only when the author wants him to die.
Correct. Except that for the character Glenda to die, the elements must be right. But to enlighten you a little further, there's the second story, that of an extremely advanced case. Let's call this person Alan, Ann. Alan had a mother who wanted a little girl. The father didn't care much one way or the other. Alan did not enter the competitive sports that the other boys of the school did. However, he was an extremely studious boy and always had above average marks in his subjects. Yet sports, girls' sports, he always was interested in. But he was rejected by the girls and also rejected by the boys. It seems he belonged to neither of them. After school, Alan would go home to find the mother who had always wanted a girl and the father who didn't care one way or the other. He enjoyed doing the woman's work around the house. Alan was becoming a woman and didn't realize it. A woman in mind only, but the mind rules. Then came the fateful year of 1941. Alan was drafted. He was accepted. In the Army, he successfully passed his vigorous training. He did not like it, but then there were the weekends for his particular diversions. On his weekend passes, he would go to the nearest town where he had a suitcase checked in a public locker. In the suitcase, he had the things he loved to wear, that which made his body appear to be what his mind believed it was. Then the day of embarkation came. But wherever Alan went, the suitcase was sure to go. Then, as quickly as it had begun, the war was over. Alan came home. Alan had learned all the terms directed at men like himself, but no one had found out his aversion. He was honorably discharged from the service at the end of the war. He had received the Silver Star and the Bronze Star for gallantry in action. While he was in an Army hospital recuperating from a wound he had received in New Guinea, he learned a very interesting fact. He learned that foreign doctors were doing marvelous work with a sex change, man to woman, woman to man. Shortly after his separation from service, Alan came to me for advice. There followed many long sessions with my clinical reports and the reports of eminent doctors. It had been found that Alan was really a pseudo-hermaphrodite. A hermaphrodite is one who has the organs of both the male and female in plain sight. A pseudo-hermaphrodite is one who has one perfectly formed organ of either sex and one imperfectly formed one that's difficult to detect. Alan was of the latter. Alan was then given his choice. That which nature had given him was a mistake. It was up to us to correct that mistake one way or the other. Alan had to decide whether he wanted to become a man or she wanted to become a woman. Both were completely possible. Small boned, fair of complexion, his hair thin like a woman's, His body slim, hips slightly girlish. It was easy to see his decision, along with the fact that he had been brought up from early childhood to believe that a woman was the thing to be. Alan decided to become a woman. This, after all the help I could give him, was only the beginning. During the following 2 years, he was to go through the tortures of the damned. But never was there a whimper from him, because he knew that at the end of it all, he would at last be that which he had always dreamed. Hundreds of hormone shots were injected into various parts of his body. Alan's face was worked on with plastic surgery to smooth out the female elements. Long, tedious hours of work. The big day, or the starting of many big days, for it was to take many. The series of operations are performed slowly and at intervals to prevent any unnecessary shock to the nervous system. Still, the hormone shots continue, day after day, week after week, month after month. And even then, when the operation is over, the sex has changed, the shots must continue as long as Alan lives. First, the breasts are brought out. The body of the woman within begins to appear now. Surgery, the removal of the man and the formation of the woman. But in time, Alan is Anne, a very happy, lovely young lady that modern medicine and science has created almost as a Frankenstein monster. The newspapers heard of it and hit the story with their usual fullness. If papers had not gotten hold of the story, it would have gone untold, unnoticed as so many others in medical history. The sex change has been performed hundreds of times. However, right here, in this particular sex switch, it's not the end. Acting the woman and being the woman are two entirely different things. Alan had all his life acted the part of the woman. Now he is that woman and must learn how it's done. Anne must learn how to do her own hair, how to make the correct styling for her facial contours. The proper walk must be adopted. A lady is a lady, whatever the case may be. Continuing my own psychiatric treatment, it was my duty now to explain to Anne the duty of a woman in her sex life. Alan, of course, had known the man's, but he was soon to realize he knew very little about a woman's. Yet, through it all, Anne loved every minute of it. Anne was indeed meant to be a woman, and now that the sex change had been completed, Anne was a very happy woman, and a woman who was eager to learn, and now was accepted by society. A woman born at the age of 24, in a world that for 24 years she had seen as a man, but a woman who now would, and was properly instructed in how to accept, a woman's world. Thus, this case, which has a happy ending, is due entirely to the corrections made by medical science. I've had several such cases. In fact, in my 20 years of practice, I've been prominent in 7. However, my colleagues have had hundreds.
Then you believe that the Glenn of the first story should have the sex change?
In Glenn's case, no. No, indeed. Glenn would never be happy with a sex change.
The Alan of your story ended happy?
I'll tell it to you exactly as I told it to them. Shortly after Glenn told Barbara of his love for girls' clothing, he started treatments with me. On the last treatment, both he and Barbara came to me. I told him the same story of Alan, Anne, as I've told it to you, Inspector. Anne was a pseudo-hermaphrodite. Even though one of the sexes was imperfect, she had the organs and the characteristics of both the male and female. Glenn's case is an entirely different type of case. Remember I said, no matter what the case, it's a different thing. A new problem to be looked into, then solved. A new challenge to the psychoanalysis. Glenn's body holds only one sex, that of the male. In all our talks, I've learned these pertinent facts. Glenn's father had no love for his son. His father wanted Glenn to be a football hero or a baseball player, so that he could brag to his cronies down at the corner saloon as his cronies bragged to him about their own sons. Thus, the ruse of Glenn's fictitious character. He invented it when he could find no love from his mother and no love from his father. His mother had hated her own father. Glenn reminded her of her father. Therefore, she gave all her affection, love, and attention to her daughter. Glenn then decided also to become a daughter. Glenn, you can kill this fictitious character of yours anytime you wish. For your happy ending, it's the only way.
Then you think I can kill this second character by transferring her qualities to Barbara?
Exactly. But as the author and his character, the elements must be right. It's up to you, Barbara. You must take the place, give the love, and accept the facts that Glenda has always accepted. If you love each other as you now believe you do, well, it'll be a hard job, but you'll enjoy doing the job.
Should I let him continue to wear girls' clothing? Or should I put my foot down?
If you put your foot down, you'd only go behind closed doors. Love is the only answer. Glenda must be transferred to you.
Supposing Glenn never gets over wearing girls' clothing.
Would it matter to you very much?
I love Glenn. I'll do everything I can to make him happy.
The end is only the beginning. Time passes. Soon, due to a happily married life, the remembrance of the psychiatric treatments, and Barbara's love and understanding, Glenda begins to disappear forever from Glenn. Glenn has found his mother, his little sister, his wife, and his Glenda all in one lovely package. Thus, Glenn's case has a happy conclusion. Therefore, 2 entirely different cases, handled in 2 entirely different ways, have a happy ending.
Yeah, those 2. But what of the hundreds of other less fortunate Glens the world over?
Yes. But what of the others? Less fortunate Glens, the world over. Oh, snips and snails and puppy dog tails.
hope you've enjoyed Glenn or Glenda, and I hope you've enjoyed the Pulp Film Lab so far. We're going to close out today's episode with a game we like to call Boy or Girl. Now, we have some subjects ready to go in the studio, so let's go ahead and bring up our first subject. Oh, okay.
Well, a lot of men have long hair like that now.
Yes, but not as beautiful as this person's hair.
She does. This person absolutely does have very shiny, luxurious, rich hair.
I think it's a pretty girl.
I think girl.
I'm going with girl as well, guys.
Yes, it's a girl.
Good.
All right, next subject, please.
I'm good at this.
Ooh.
Oh.
All right. Also in a striped shirt.
Yes.
Also
kinda
really
me.
nice hair.
Yeah, nice smile too.
I notice a beard.
The beard
Beard
makes
is a
me lean
giveaway.
towards
I think.
boy.
You don't think
boy.
that's a trick beard?
I think it's a real beard. I think it's a boy.
I'm gonna go with
Boy.
boy as well.
Boy?
Yes.
Boy.
Right
Boy.
on.
All right.
Sweet. All right. Let's
2 for 2.
Head 2 for 2. Let's go to third subject.
Oh, this one's tougher.
It's kind of bright.
I'm gonna go with lamp.
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 Yeah.
Lamp?
Lamp.
All right.
Yes, it's a lamp. All right. That's the end of Boy or Girl and the end of Pulp Film Lab. I'm your host, Lauren Poole.
I'm Alex Knight. Thank you all so much for joining us.
Thank you so much to our guest, Aaron Hendren. in
Thanks
the
for having
studio
me,
with us
guys. I
today.
really enjoyed it.
Cool. And thank you so much, Dirk Norris with Indie Insight. And please find us on Facebook at The Pulp Film Lab and join us next time when we screen the awesome and awesomely bad movies that are public domain so we can show them.